Hey guys, welcome back. Patrick here. Well, finally, Hyliion had their first earnings conference call this week. Did you guys listen to it? What did you think? I thought that there were some positives, some negatives, but man, it really feels to me like the company has a low floor. Definitely has potential long term, but it is a SPAC play for sure. So let's talk about Hyliion today. Some of the updates, some of the highlights, and the areas that I find a little bit concerning, and where do I think the share price is going to go. So let's talk about all of that. Let's get started now, but please, you guys know the drill. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out. Thank you. Alright guys, let's begin with the positives. I'm in a good mood, so let's highlight some of the good things going on for the company. The first of which is going to be a follow-up to my previous video. I made a video talking about the analyst ratings and if they affect the stock price and everything. Well, over the past month, 2 different analysts opened coverage on Hyliion, and I think that is great news. As you guys can see, as of me filming this, the share price at $22.33. Keep that in mind. If we go down, you can see that Mark Delaney from Goldman Sachs opened coverage on October 15th at hold rating at $22. And then Paul Koster from JP Morgan, a hold rating on October 28th at $27. Now, I know that if you look at $27 price target and $22 price target, and if you're into the stock for 35 or 40, well, that's going to be very disappointing. But here's the thing, the way that I look at it is these are very, very serious investment banks, right? Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and they have access to massive clients that are depending on them for their recommendations on stocks to buy. So the fact that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs find Hyliion important enough to cover is a positive sign. And right now, even though they have a hold rating, well, over time, as they have good developments, if they can change it to a buy rating, that is going to signal to their customers, right, that it is a good opportunity to buy, and that could bring a lot of money into the company over time. But as you guys can see, in the short term, with ratings at 27 and 22, you can't expect that this stock is going to go anywhere over the short period, right? If you guys are into it, you know that it's for 3-5 years, because over the next year or two, nothing's going to happen with this stock, I don't think. We'll not see the $40 or $50 again. Another great news from the past month, which Hyliion really highlighted during the conference call, is the agreement with American Natural Gas, where A&G is going to pre-order up to 250 ERX trucks. But that's great, like the 250, but we know that the trucks are not going to be delivered until at least the end of 2021. To me, the most important part of this is the fact that they're going to be helping them with the infrastructure. Because right now, there's only 700 natural gas fueling stations in the US. You're probably going to need a lot more than that over the next few years, especially if this becomes a big thing. So the fact that Hyliion customers are going to get a discount on refueling with natural gas is, pretty good. But also the fact that they're going to be building the refueling stations at no upfront cost, very close to the facilities of the fleet customers, that is going to be a very good plus. So there's a good synergy between the two companies. Hyliion produces the trucks, A&G is selling the natural gas, so both of them are working together. Is there going to be an expansion over the future? I think that it's very likely. So even though it only starts at 250, all right, I think that there's a good synergy there, and that's very promising for the future. And then third, we've got the share price, $22.33. Yes, I know that doesn't show a lot of strength, but it is much better than where it was a couple of weeks ago. Last time I talked about Hyliion, we were still in that huge downtrend that brought the share price all the way down very close to that critical support level of $18, which I call the last line of defense. So since then, great news. I mean, the support held, and since then the shares rebounded a little bit. So before the election and after the election, money restarted flowing into the stock market, and all the SPACs and ex-SPACs actually benefited greatly from this. As you guys can see, the shares started to rebound, then it plateaued, and now at the earnings, which is going to be the last part of the video where I talk more about the negatives, well, there was a sell-off and then kind of tapered off, and yesterday on Friday, it dropped 5%. Now, I do expect more weakness, and that's what we'll talk about the rest of the video, but keep in mind that if, $18 as held so far, that's the support level. So if we go down again, $18 is going to be the critical number you want to always keep track of. All right, guys, let's get into the actual conference call now. Some of the highlights that really stood out. Well, first, they are flush with cash, so that's positive. They have enough money to get into production, and they increased their budget for research and development to, I believe, $2.9 million. Now, also, they have installed 8 units over the past quarter. That 8 units is kind of a ridiculous number if you think about it. The valuation for this company is over $100 million per unit installed. Just let that sink in. Those numbers are crazy, but that's the world we live in. There are years of growth priced into the stock, and it will hurt the share price in the short term. Like, there's no doubt about it. But still, it is positive that they are making progress towards their goal of 20 units this year, and in the fourth quarter, he does project that they will add the 7 needed to get to that 20. So that's all positive. Third, Thomas Healy confirmed what he had mentioned on JMAC's podcast, that now companies are reaching out to Hyliion to inquire about the products. That puts them in a very good position of strength. In the past, when you're doing outreach, well, you're kind of negotiating with a position of weakness. You're reaching out to them. When they reach out to you, you're in a much better position when you're negotiating contracts with them. So he confirmed that they have traction with the fleets, which is great, but if we go back to the number of units installed, 8 units in 4 fleet-based customers, that number is very small, almost insignificant, but still, the company really benefits from this because they get to collect data and improve their software, which is critical, but also it's like implanting little seeds in those 4 companies, develop relationships, because these guys don't want to order hundreds or thousands of units when they don't really know the product. They want to test it out first. They want to see if they like it, if they benefit from it financially, and then if everything goes well, then they're going to be ordering. And that's why for Hyliion, installing all these units, even though it's only 4 fleet-based customers, it is very positive. And that is one of the reasons why I think that they have a lot of potential in the future. They're planting the seeds for the future right now, but it's still very early on in the company's development. And that's why they're in such a weird situation right now, because they have the valuation of an established company while being a pre-revenue, almost startup type company. Alright, so in my opinion, the best part of the conference call by far was the question and answer period, and that's where we learned some of the challenges that the company is going to be facing, and what got me really thinking about how low the floor for this company is based on where the valuation is. So first, Paul Koster asked about the warrants. No problem there. The company mentioned that they can raise up to 140 millions from the warrants. Currently, they're not registered yet. They're still in the process with the SEC of registering them, so you can expect that this is probably going to come within the next few weeks. And at the same time, within those next few weeks, the board of directors will meet to decide if they're going to be calling the warrants due. Now, expect that this will happen because, as I mentioned previously in other videos, companies just do not want to have millions of warrants floating around and distorting the valuation of a company. So it is very, very likely that they would call the warrants due, but they have not mentioned if they were going to do cash or cashless. Since they were talking about the 140 million, it's probably likely that they will do cash redemptions. So in that case, if you guys are holding warrants right now, is a very good time to start thinking about how you're going to be dealing with that. If you have the money now, are you going to be redeeming all of them, or are you going to be selling a part of them? And if you don't have the money now, well, how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to be selling some of the warrants, keeping some and trading them for shares, or are you going to sell all of your warrants? Probably you want to start thinking about all of that now. The first question that really got me thinking about the company's foundation is when they asked about the sales cycle for Hyliion. Because it is great that they're getting interest from third-party companies asking about the products. It's great that they're implanting these little demos in these fleets where if they like the product, they'll be able to order some in the future. But currently, they seem like they're struggling to get these firm orders to purchase units. If we think about agility, it is up to 1,000 units. If we're thinking about A&G, it is up to 250 units. Well, how are these contracts structured? Is it they're buying 50 and then they have the option of buying 200 more in the future if they're happy? And all of those units that they're installing right now, Thomas Healy specifically said that they're not counting them as income for 2020 because the companies have the opportunity of returning them at any time for any reason if they're not happy with them. So they're not actually making firm commitments to purchase these units. They're just trying them out. They're demos. It's like you going to the dealership and taking a test drive. That doesn't mean that you're going to be buying the car, right? You're just testing it out. So because of that, for a company that's worth over $3 billion with a B, the fact that we don't have any committed firm revenue coming in, to me, is concerning. The valuation is very high for this pre-revenue company with some products, but no firm commitments so far. So the current plans are to deliver 300 hybrids in the back half of 2021 and to start deploying those demo units for the ERX in the back half of 2021 with potential revenue shipments starting in 2022. So again, guys, this is a long-term play. This is so early in the company, and that's why the $3 billion in valuation is so high. Remember when it was at 8 billion and I said that was crazy and ridiculous, and some people thought that it was going to go even higher. Now, analyze all the facts about the company and just realize how the valuation is insane for a company that currently is not delivering any products. So when we see $27 and $22 is very reasonable, right? They have to make their predictions based on the current share price. But if they were starting from scratch, they would probably give a price target even lower than that. Last but not least, the one big question that's been asked for months now about Hyliion, and kudos to the guy from Lone Star, I'm sorry I couldn't catch his name for asking the question, is what is defensible about the company's technology? What are some of the patents, or what's the moat that's going to prevent another company, a competitor, from developing their own solution? And here, once again, I was not convinced at all. I'm not sold, and this brought me some concern about the company. So you guys, please let me know in the comments what you think about this, because this is massive. So according to Thomas Ely, they're using Dana's drive motor and they're using Toshiba cells. According to him, word for word, because I wrote it down, what is proprietary about Hyliion's technology is the modules, the cooling, the system integration, the software, the algorithms, and the data capturing. Now, tell me what you think, but to me, this is not really impressive. Every single electric vehicle companies are developing those tools. And if you think about the manufacturers for those semi-trucks, they can easily build those tools themselves. The system integration, they can just do that while they're building the trucks. The software and algorithms, that's good. But again, it's not a huge deal. Every single company that does electric vehicles develop those algorithms. So because of that, that really brought a lot of questions to me. Remember, I'm going to be implanting it in your brain. $3 billion valuation plus for this company. So for that reason, I'm not convinced. I mean, I like the company. We all do. We like the big idea. We like Hyliion's story. We like the CEO. But still, you have to be realistic. $3+ billion valuation. I think that the company is overpriced. So because they are in an $800 billion industry, the ceiling is very high. If they have perfect execution, the company is going to thrive. The share price will go up in the next few years. But keep in mind, it is a spec play. There are some real risks involved, and a lot of people did not consider them before. Is there another company that's going to compete with them in that big industry? It's possible. The manufacturers are going to want a piece of the pie. So the company has a high ceiling, but it also has a much lower floor than some people really anticipated. So guys, let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. Not meaning to scare you. In my opinion, it's too late to sell now. If I had shares currently, I would just be keeping them. But again, you still have to really be realistic about the investment. It is going to be a very long-term project and kind of like a boom or bust type investment. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time.